Hello and welcome back. You got me, myself, and I, William Marzina. Sitting right next to me is Alex Huzzah.
How we doing, everybody? Welcome back.
Pretty interesting week going on so far. We've missed 1 week because due to spring break, but we are back and we have a pretty special guest today, Alex.
Yeah, we got a guy, a Slippery Rock alum, a sports writer for the NFL, USA Today, amongst other things. I definitely did not just read off of his Instagram bio, but pretty excited. We got Jarrett Bailey on the pod today.
Everybody reads off the bio, so you're fine, man. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. No, what's going on, boys? Good to be here.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's a pleasure for us to have you. I don't recall, what year did you graduate from Slip?
I finished in 2021, so right in the midst of the old vid.
Yeah, had to be interesting there.
Oh, it sucked. It was awful. You can ask Dr. Artman about all that. It was not a fun time, but no, we made it through. We made it through.
There we go. That's all that matters. Thanks for taking the time today. I'll start off, I guess. I'm curious. Tell me a little bit about the transition from college, especially Slippery Rock, into the sports journalism industry.
The one thing that I tell everybody is that it's not instant. It takes time. I started when I was still in Slip, I started, I guess if you want to call it my career. My senior year is like when I first started doing anything that paid me. And then once I graduated, it was pretty clear what the goal was. It's like, how fast can I make this full time? What do I got to do to, build a portfolio that will get me, jobs that I can put together to make a full-time income out of this. And especially in like today's climate, man, where everybody with a microphone or everybody with a laptop thinks they can talk about sports, write about sports, and thinks that they can do it comprehensively and make a living out of it. Like it's such a congested space. And it takes time, and there's a lot of work for not a lot of pay to begin with. And there's a lot of honest conversations that I had to have with myself. Like, you're still working a normal human being job and, still trying to get as much work done in the field so you can put together something where people want to hire you and keep, climbing up this ladder. So as difficult as it may be at times, and as, a little bit backwards as it can be, the industry does weed out the people who are good at it, who want to do it. And, if you stick with it long enough and you're good at it and you know what you're doing, good things will come. But it does take time. And that's the one thing that I tell everybody that asks me about it and whatnot is, I'm 25 now. This past season was the first time that I was doing it full time. So it took a while. It took me 3 years to finally make it as like a full-time job where the amount I was making was enough for me to live off it and not have to work another job. So it takes time, but don't beat yourself up and don't give up. As long as you know your stuff, as long as you can present it in an entertaining way, you're gonna be fine. But also understand that it's a journey, and there's going to be times where you're going to be questioning yourself, but that happens, and just keep at it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I love that, man. Obviously, just like anything else, you have to be talented and, perfect your craft. And like you said, it takes time. But with sports, it seems like everybody says, oh, like you got to know people and networking is everything and whatnot. I just wanted to ask, like, with that, like, how much of that is luck and, you meet people and you meet somebody at the right time, and how much of that is like a knowledge of like, oh, I'm going to go to this event and meet this person, and like when to network and things like that?
It's a healthy dose of both. For me, like as soon as I got to school, I think that was like the first thing I wanted to do was just network my butt off and meet the right people, talk to the right people. And a lot of it has been luck, where, the people that I've surrounded myself with have been good people to surround yourself with. And they saw enough in me where they stuck around and they were more than willing to help, lift me up. Matt Verderam from Sports Illustrated was one of the first guys I reached out to. I was probably a freshman in 18, 19. And it's been cool with him because at the time he was at a company called Fansided, and he was, trying to work his way up still. And obviously he was making a full-time career out of it as well. But seeing him go from, Fansided to now, working at Sports Illustrated and, doing the MMQB podcast, like it's been cool as like the relationship that him and I have, like being, I tell him is like, mentor, mentee, big brother, little brother. It's been cool seeing him grow as well at the same time. So he's been one of my biggest mentors. And then, guys that I watched on TV growing up or read growing up, Mike Tanier and Doug Farrar, who's now my boss at USA Today, which is, just a really full circle moment because, I've read Doug growing up and I watched him growing up. So it's a lot of stuff like that, man, where I've known who I wanted to surround myself with. And I know the people that I, wanted to be associated with and people that I looked up to growing up. But also people who, aren't very much older than me who had, sustained success and were willing to, put me under their wing and be like, all right, this is how you do this. This is how you, if you want to make this a career and are serious about it, this is how you do it. So, and then obviously like events too, like, the two biggest ones each year are the Senior Bowl in Mobile and then the NFL Combine in Indy. And just going to those, man, you meet a ton of people every year. And then you have like your cliques and whatnot of guys that you always meet up with, and then they have their own people that kind of combine. So it just becomes a natural networking thing. While also, being big for, deals getting done in the off season, you're talking to college prospects. So, I mean, that entire like 3-month stretch from like the end of January to like the middle of March now, I mean, it's huge for networking as well as, everything going on around the league. So I don't like using the word luck too much. But I've been very fortunate to have good people in the industry around me that have seen enough in me to want to help me grow. So a big part of it is, networking is huge, but also knowing your stuff and just being a good hang. Like being a good hang and knowing what you're doing is 80% of this job, man. So as long as you're cool to people and you know what you're talking about and you're knowledgeable, that is the biggest thing about making it in sports media.
Nice, man. I definitely want to touch on the Combine, and because I know that was recent, and see how your experience was this year, and we'll get to that eventually. But I think that's cool. When you came to Artman's class last semester, I remember I asked you a question like, how do you set yourself apart and like find your voice in an industry that, like you said, is so congested and whatnot? And you mentioned like reading other people's articles and finding a mentor. And I think that's one of the hardest things that I've tried to do in these last couple months is find a mentor. And, I have read other people's stuff, and obviously I like people growing up watching sports and all that, but the whole mentor thing definitely is something really important and something that I took from that. And yeah, it's a struggle, but I think it's a really good piece of advice.
And I think with that too, like for me, I think just being yourself is also big. And I've been, especially now where, if I'm tasked with writing something, like today I did post free agency power rankings, go read that on USA Today, by the way. And like, I'm just me, obviously there's a sense of professionalism with, the style of writing and making sure that it's, up to speed and there's no mistakes. But like, if you read it, there's a lot of there's sarcasm. There's a lot of just poignancy and just being goofy, but being goofy to a point where it doesn't compromise the knowledge involved. So, and look, that's not everybody's voice. There's more than one way to bake a cake and more than one way to be entertaining. And for me, I found that, I'm good at, the little witty comments and whatnot in the midst of, presenting my opinion. So, and that was a big thing for me too, was, I mentioned already, Mike Tanier, he's the pioneer of being like the goofy sports writer who is very knowledgeable, but also very funny. And reading him a ton growing up and now having a good friendship with him has been really cool for me because I'm still learning from him. And it's something that's definitely helped me. And, with all the knowledge that he's bestowed upon me and other guys have, it's, I'm able, even though I'm, far from as accomplished as they are, being able to pass that on to other people who, are trying to make it. And it's been, a cool full circle moment for me in that regard.
Nice. Yeah. I think I did see one of your tweets the other day pop up on my Instagram feed, and I think this is a really good time to bring it up. Artman was saying yesterday he talks to you regularly, and you don't even know when you go viral and whatnot, and he thought that was a bluff, and you just act surprised. But besides the point,
look, man, I think that Artman was somebody for me, especially like, so I first had him as a sophomore, and it was an 8 a.m. class, and right away, like, he knew that he was gonna have to get on my ass for certain things, and I will always be grateful to him for that. But I genuinely mean it when, like, if I say something, I don't expect it to get like I'll say something, like I'll tweet something and I'll expect it to go viral and it'll get like 7 likes. I'll say something just very random that I don't expect to go anywhere, and I'll like look at my phone, it's got like 18,000. Like, what that? I didn't even think that was that good. So he might think I'm bluffing, but I genuinely, like, sometimes when I say things, I don't expect it to be big, and sometimes when I do expect things to blow up, nothing comes of it. So he'll get those little jabs in, but that's fine. That's fine. I still love him dearly.
Yeah, the one I saw, it was actually on my Instagram feed, and it was just like a screenshot of it. Whistle Sports posted it, and it was you talking about Odell and him being overrated and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna ask, like, I mean, you kind of just answered it, but was that one that was like, oh, you know, like, I think this could blow up, or like I'm shooting for this to blow up, or was that kind of just like you're just talking?
Sometimes, like, you do intend for, like, okay, if I say this, it's gonna get attention, and that was one of them where I'm like, people are gonna take this the wrong way and think I'm shit talking. Can I swear, by the way? I don't want to swear too much.
No, but it's all right. Well,
oh, I'm so sorry for whoever is.
We should have told you that. We should have told you
that. Okay, I will make sure not to do it again. So
it's
sorry for it. So sorry. All right. So I knew that some people were gonna take it in a bad way. That's why I meant to throw in there at the beginning. It's like, look, it's not his fault, but he's violently overrated. And yeah, I mean, I presented the case, I think, pretty well, and like a tweet under it, just because I didn't feel like making a book out of it. But I was like, yeah, he had 3 really good seasons to start his career, and he also hasn't been a great receiver in almost a decade. So, like, but every offseason we have to do this thing where it's like, oh, where's Odell Beckham gonna go? As if he's gonna make any sort of massive difference. Like we did it last year with Baltimore, and he signed for a deal, 1 year, $15 million, worth up to $18 million. And everybody and their mother was like, why are the Ravens giving him that much money? That's horrendous. And then he had 37 catches, didn't make any sort of like a real difference. And we're going to do the same thing again when he signs somewhere else. We're going to be like, oh, Odell Beckham, he could put, you know, the Buccaneers over them. No, he can't. He's not. No, he won't. Like, let's stop. So it's nothing against Odell Beckham. It's more so against like people in my industry who still act like he's like this top 10 receiver when he's like more in the range of like Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar at this point in his career. No disrespect to those guys either, but like, let's just call a spade a spade. So that was more so what that was directed. I wasn't trying to, you know, bash Odell. It was more so bashing the people who think that he's like this god.
Yeah. I think even in the tweet you said like this is going to come off the wrong way. But
yeah. And of course, like people still are like, oh, if you go look at 2016, it's like, that's cool, dude. I was in high school then. I don't care. I could not care less about 2016, man. What's he done recently? So that's another thing, man. Like you get, it's a very hot take world of sports media, and I hate that, where everybody has to like outrageous the last take. So it's easy to weed out those people, but at the same time, those are the people that are, you know, on ESPN at 10 a.m. Those are the same people that are on Fox Sports at 10 a.m. that are just, you know, sometimes just spewing stupidity and nonsense. And that's what really gets under my skin, because there's a lot of talented people that don't have those types of spots that deserve them. And instead we give it to, you know, 60-some-year-old radio hosts who are, you know, talking about how great Deshaun Watson is, when it's just annoying, man. So
yeah,
that's my little insight and my take on sports media today.
Fair enough. When you came up, you talked about how you interviewed Mike Vick, and that was one of the cooler moments of your career. I wanted to get your take on that and have you walk us through how it happened and, you know, what your experience was in general with that.
It happened completely by accident. I was going to do a piece about Kurt Menefee, who hosts Fox NFL Sunday. And I got in touch with the people at Fox, and they gave me a call back and were like, "Hey, Kurt's gonna be, he's got to worry about the show and everything. He's gonna be a little bit busy, but Mike Vick's been wanting to do something." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll definitely do something with Mike Vick." And then, just got in touch with his people and whatnot. We had like a call beforehand just to go over like basically what would be discussed and how I wanted the basically just the format and like talking about his career, but also relating it back to quarterbacks of today. And it came together nicely. It was being a kid who grew up in the 2000s, everybody loved Michael Vick, and being that I got to do something with one of my favorite athletes of all time, that was really rewarding. And nicest guy ever, was super cool. And being able to do that with him, I can now say if I wanted to do something else with somebody else, which not to give away what I'm trying to do, but I want to do something else similar to that with other quarterbacks. So if I went in and called ex quarterback's agent and be like, "Look, I'm doing this series. The first episode was with Michael Vick. I can send it over to you. You can, just kind of see what it's all about. And if, so-and-so quarterback would be interested, then I would love to have him on." So just having that in my back pocket of, if I want to do something like that again, knowing that I could, or at least would have a really good chance, just because, I can show like, "Hey, this is what it looks like. It's good. I'm capable of doing it. Would love to do it with your guy." So it was really rewarding in that aspect to be able to do it with one of my favorite athletes ever. But it's also something that now I have, in my back pocket to be like, I'm capable of doing this and would love to do it with this guy.
That's super cool, man. I've kind of learned that too, where over the past couple years, like I'll interview somebody and I'm like, wow, like that was really cool. Like I wanted to do that with them. And then I'm like, okay, like now I can actually build off of this and, go somewhere potentially with that, not using the person or anything by any means, but
yeah. And, going from, where I started, I think the first player interview I did was right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I was still in school and I did it with my old podcast co-host, and we interviewed Austin Eckler. And it was, going from that, like it was fine. But, if I re-listen to that now compared to an interview I did recently, like there's obvious growth there. So, it's good to do and obviously make those connections, but also for yourself to continue to get better and, go back, listen to it. Okay, I could have done that a little bit better, and make the necessary adjustments for the next time around. So it's rewarding in multiple ways.
Yeah. All right. Last question about your career, and then we'll talk some Steelers. This is kind of a funny one. I just wanted to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
If you could have a drink with 4 guys in or around the NFL, who would you pick and why?
Oh, 4 guys in or around the NFL. I think I'm just gonna go with like dudes that are just bros. So like Gardner Minshew. I think
Nice.
he would just be hilarious. Rex Ryan. I love Rex. I'm friends with Eric Crocker, who does the Locked On 49ers podcast. He actually played for Rex. And in Mobile, when I saw him, I was like, "Tell me about playing for Rex, because I got to know how fun that was in that locker room." And he told me just the funniest story. So Rex, I think Rex would be on that list. In or around the NFL, who's just like a really goofy guy? That's what I'm saying. It would just be like the goofs, where they're just like total bros. I think Max Crosby would be a fun one, where he's French inhaling cigars on TV, so he's a madman. Oh, no, he's sober now, so I guess he's kind of just, he can have like he'll have a soda.
Mocktail.
Yeah. He'll have a mocktail. So, so Rex Ryan, Gardner Minshew, Max Crosby, and who would be the 4th? I'm going through like all these guys in my head real quick. Not Russ. Bless his heart, but not Russ.
Not like another podcast host or something like McAfee or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think about McAfee?
I don't have anything against Pat. I think that at times it can be a little much for like when I see him on everything, every channel, I'm like, all right, man, I like you, but like I just need a little break. He's great on commentary on Raw. Like, I'm a big wrestling guy, so I watched that, and he's hilarious. And he's obviously great at what he does with his show. But like, I have a little bit of a McAfee. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a little bit overloaded with it. Again, nothing against him, but because he's great. But I'm trying to think of like maybe another TV personality that would be fun. I think Shannon would be fun. Well, maybe Shannon Sharp. Yeah, Shannon would be good. So I think that's my 4: Gardner Minshew, Rex Ryan, Shannon Sharp, and Max Crosby.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I could have never predicted that's 4 you were gonna go with.
That is out there. Those ones.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect combination of like, because Shannon's hilarious. I think they're all funny in different ways. Like Max Crosby just always seems like the most laid back guy in the room, but I feel like he could be like undercover really funny. Minshew's just Minshew. Like he's just the walking embodiment of a pot farm. Like he just seems very fun to be around.
That reminds me of like just straight frat, like a frat brother.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah. He reminds me of the guy who like guards the door at like a frat party. Be like, hey, who do you know here? I could definitely see that being Minshew. But like, if somebody cute comes up, he's like, all right, yeah, go in, yeah. And then Rex is just hilarious. I would love to sit down with Rex Ryan for an hour. That'd be great.
Wow, what a 4.
Yeah,
that's unreal. All right, man. Let's get into some Steelers. Probably the most busy offseason, I guess, we've had in quite a long time. Some huge moves being made. I personally like the Fields move the most. Jarrett, what's your opinion? What do you think was one of the bigger moves that we did? What was the most impactful?
So like, I don't know, 10 days ago, between 10 days and 2 weeks ago, like I was so just down in the dumps, man. I was like, God almighty, they're going to just sign. They're going to bring back Mason. It's going to be a quote-unquote quarterback competition that's not actually a competition. Pickett's going to be the week 1 starter. There's going to be another season that's basically just punted away because they're not going to make any actual moves. And then Sunday night right before the tampering period kicked off, Russ tweets out the video. And I'm like, oh, okay. Russ, that's a clear upgrade. They're still going to present it as a quarterback competition, but I think Russ will start. And then, like, what was it, Tuesday? The Tuesday after, I'm working on something. I can't remember exactly the piece I was working on, but I get the notification from Shefty, and I just see Kenny Pickett. I'm like, there's no way. And then I open it up, and I'm just like wide-eyed, and I swear to you, I like lifted up my dog, and I'm just like, look, ah! And then I did like a quick like little sprint around my house or my apartment, just like, holy F. I almost said it again, but I saved it. So I was happy as can be, because I don't know, if you follow me on Twitter, you know my feelings about Kenny Pickett. And I saved so many receipts. And I was the most insufferable human being for about 48 hours, where I was just going through my bookmarks. All these people saying, "Oh, Kenny Pickett's the greatest week 1 starter." I'm just and I quoted it all with like the same video, and it's the video of the Joker laughing really hard. So for like 2 days, all you saw on my feed was just the Joker video of me laughing at Kenny Pickett stands. And I did a stream right after that happened, and I was like, I wonder if this then opens the door for them to then trade for Justin Fields, because there's no market for him right now. They could probably get him for next to nothing. Lo and behold, like the next day, they trade for Justin Fields for a guy who's going to get cut next year. And it's crazy to see how fast, I don't even know how fast, the sense of urgency that Omar Khan has compared to what Kevin Colbert had, because Steelers fans will tell you, like, this is usually a dead period where they don't make any moves. They don't make any of these splash trades because Kevin Colbert didn't do that. And that's why they were so stagnant for so long, because it just felt like they were content being, a 9-10 win team that built through the draft and didn't make any of these splash signings or splash trades. But then, they sign Russ, they trade for Justin Fields, they sign Patrick Queen, they sign Deshaun Elliott. There's rumors that they're trying to get Brandon Ayuk or Terry McLaurin now. Like, it's, not just like the most active time of like being a Steeler fan in my life throughout the offseason, but maybe the most exciting. Like the most excited I've been since pre-elbow injury Ben. So we're talking, like 6 years that I've been this excited. Because you don't know what's going to happen. And Omar Khan's a madman, and he could just any second now, any of us could get a notification on our phone saying, "Oh, the Steelers just traded for Brandon Ayuk. Have fun." We're like, "All right, cool." So it's been. I mean, for me, it's been a very busy week, but it's been good busy and happy busy as to compared to where I'm just miserable talking about a bad football team with a bad quarterback and people who root for Pitt football and think that Kenny Pickett's their messiah, living in my mentions for the past 2 years, and just the fact that that's now Philadelphia's problem, and it will be their problem, because I promise you, like week 3, Jalen Hurts has like a 2 interception game and they lose. All these Pickett people are going to put him in Sirianni, put in Pickett. And you're like, all right, good luck with that. Enjoy. So I'm elated, man, for so many different reasons, but it feels like, they recognize their shortcomings of the past 6-7 years, where it's been a playoff drought in terms of not winning a playoff game. They're the first team in NFL history to give up 30 plus points in 5 consecutive playoff games. There was a lot of talk from Omar Khan, from Mike Tomlin, from Art Rooney, who were saying, yeah, we recognize this and we need to get better. And a lot of us took it as like, okay, very much like, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, we're seeing it now, and they're making a lot of moves. They're wheeling and dealing, and it's very exciting. So I'm very happy right now.
Yeah, I think you described that perfectly. Your feelings, my feelings, probably all Steelers fans' feelings. I remember I was sitting in my house, and my buddy called me, I think like probably a week before or a couple days before the Russ signing happened. And he was like, dude, I got like insider information. He was like, my mom's boss just sold her house, and apparently a security team's coming over with Russ to look at it. Like, bet Russ to be a Steeler. Lo and behold, you can't bet on that in PA, which is
they pulled the odds. Yeah.
But I was like, man, like I don't know how to feel. Like that, like you said, an upgrade for sure. But like, is he just going to train Kenny, and is like Kenny even going to be capable of coming close to what Russ is? And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Then we released him. I was at work, and my boss is a diehard Steelers fan. I was like, that's not a joke. Like Schefter just posted it. He got so wide-eyed. Like I've never seen him so excited. And then the Fields thing, like I want Fields to play. I think it would be cool to see Russ play like half of a season, have Fields develop a little bit, perfect some maybe miscues in his game, and then really see him take off. I think that would be super cool.
So I'll tell you what I think will happen and what I think the best case scenario to happen will be. What I think will happen is Russ is going to go into the spring and training camp. He's going to be the starter. I think he'll start the season. I think he'll start week 1. I think by like week 7, Justin Fields will be starting. And that's nothing against Russ. Like I think the Steelers will still be afloat. They'll be like 3-3, 4-2, but like the offense could still be very up and down. And I think that just the temptation of having Fields there, knowing what he's capable of, physically, as a mobile guy, as well as having a big arm, like there's just more there than what there is to Russ right now. So I think by mid-year, Fields will be the starter. But I also think that they'll have some sort of like Justin Fields package where like he'll get like 6 to 10 snaps a game just to utilize him, especially in Arthur Smith's offense. I think it just makes sense to have.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
If you can get him on the field at any time, you might as well try and see what's there. The Ravens did that with Lamar when Flacco was still a starter. So there's certainly precedent for it. What I think the best case scenario is that Justin Fields blows everybody away in OTAs and in camp, and he looks really great in preseason. And it was like, look, Justin Fields is going to be the starter. He outplayed Russell Wilson. He's going to be our week 1 starter. And then if he plays well during the regular season and they win 10 games to go to the playoffs, then okay, you pick up his 5th-year option and tack on an extension on top of that, and you have hopefully your franchise quarterback going forward. So I do think it'll be Russ to start the season though. But I do very much know that Tomlin loves both of them. He was very happy. Like if you go back and watch the presser with Russell Wilson, he looks elated. And I think it's just because he knows that they just got a massive upgrade. And look, I don't think any Steelers fans are expecting Russ to be, or Justin Fields to be like a top 10 quarterback. But if they're the 17th best quarterback in the league, that's still a massive upgrade over what they had last year from Pickett, Trubisky. Rudolph played well in the final 3 games and in the playoff game. That's fine. But like I think everybody just kind of recognized that that's not who Mason Rudolph is, and he got hot at the right time, and that's great. But it's far better than anything they've had over the past couple of years. So again, as long as if Russ and or Justin Fields can just be mid, that's great. That's fantastic. Compared to what they've had, man, like that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about the Fields and Lamar comparisons. I've heard them forever, but I don't know. Like, I watched Fields highlights the other day. He looks really good in the run game, like arguably better than Lamar, in my opinion.
But I think that he reminds me so much of Russell Wilson back in his prime, and he has a good deep ball. Really, he's mediocre in the short game, in the middle throwing areas, but his deep ball is really good, I feel like. So that's the thing that I compare him to Russ all the time. Lamar is I think Lamar runs more than Justin does, and I think Justin ran so much in Chicago because of that offensive line and because they didn't really have any weapons around him. I don't know how you feel, Jarrett, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, Fields, when he was coming out, he said that he modeled himself after Russell Wilson. So, I mean, there's definitely the comparisons there where, they both have strong arms and similar play styles. Obviously, Fields is more athletic and runs around a lot more than Russ does, but there's similarities there. And that's why I think that both of them could have success, especially in this offense. I think Fields more so because if you look at what Arthur Smith was trying to do in Atlanta, I mean, he had Marcus Mariota out there. Marcus Mariota is basically just like the Busch Light version of Justin Fields. So, like, if they're able to find any sort of success with Fields under center, then if anybody is going to find success with Fields, I think Arthur Smith's offense makes the perfect amount of sense. Look, there's going to be holes. That's another thing that fans keep talking about. Like, oh my goodness, they got to draft a left tackle, they got to draft a center, and people, like, when I present the idea of trading for Ayuk, they're like, oh, why would you trade a first round pick? Like, people put way too much value into draft picks because it's, at the end of the day, it's an organized crapshoot, and the Steelers haven't been great at drafting over the past half decade or so. And if you can get established stars, you get established stars. Like, look at how that worked out for the Rams. They said, F these picks. We're going to go get guys that we know are good, and that's how we're going to try to build a Super Bowl winning team. And they did. So, yes, they need to still find a center. They probably need to either sign a right tackle or bring somebody else new in at left and keep Broderick Jones at right, because Dan Moore isn't, a very good left tackle. But every team in the NFL, no matter how good they are, they're going to have holes. And the Steelers are no different. So if you can get established stars, you get established stars to build around, especially, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. If you can get a Brandon Ayuk, you get a Brandon Ayuk. And I hope that they do something similar to that because they still need, another guy on the outside after trading Deontay Johnson. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the offseason in the draft, but I would expect at least one more noteworthy move to be made. And I'm excited to see what it is. I'm waiting patiently. I'm waiting very patiently.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting things about all of this is we haven't had a mobile quarterback or a planned mobile quarterback probably since Mike Vick. It has been forever. Yeah. And he wasn't even in the prime at that point.
And even then, it's not as if Mike Vick was, brought in to be the same. He was there to be the backup, and then he ended up getting in because Ben got hurt, and he played well doing so. But I mean, the last time they had anything like this is when Cordell Stewart was the starter, and that was late '90s, early 2000s. So Ben was a little bit of that in his rookie year and his first couple years, but then he got bigger. So that part of his game went away a little bit. He just became more of, he could still move and throw guys off of him, but he wasn't, breaking off 20-yard runs anymore. Yeah. So they haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah.
Talking about the trades and everything, how big of a deal or how big of an impact do you think it is having Mike Tomlin as the head coach for these deals? Everyone says that they want to play with Mike Tomlin. Everyone says that they love Mike Tomlin.
Brandon Ayuk thinks he looks like Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. So is these deals happening because they have Mike Tomlin, or is it actually just because Omar Khan's a really good negotiator, do you think?
I think it's a balance of both Khan and Tomlin because Patrick Queen was asked in his presser, what made you want to come to Pittsburgh? And he just pointed at Mike Tomlin. He said, that guy right there. So there's definitely that essence of Tomlin. Guys want to play for him. And Fields and the Bears had multiple options from other teams of were interested in Justin Fields, but Ryan Poles, the general manager for the Bears, said that they wanted to do right by Fields and send him to a place where he wanted to go. Fields said he wanted to go to Pittsburgh. So there's definitely that mutual thing where guys want to play for Mike Tomlin, but also I think Mike Tomlin, I don't think he has a hot seat, but I think he recognizes that, okay, something needs to change. And I think that there was a lot of conversations between him, Art Rooney, and Omar Khan. We're like, let's do something, because our feet are in the sand and we're just kind of staying stagnant. So I think a lot of the moves that are being made, there was an understanding for sure, like a mutual thing between Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, where they're like, yeah, we got to get better. And I think Mike Tomlin's like, hey, if we can get a Justin Fields, let's get a Justin Fields. And Omar Khan made it happen. If we can get a Russell Wilson, let's get a Russell Wilson. Omar Khan made it happen. Hey, Kenny Pickett doesn't want to be here. Let's get rid of him. Okay, I'll send him to Philadelphia. Deontay Johnson was, reportedly not exactly the happiest behind the scenes. We'll trade him to Carolina. So they very much cut a lot of fat off the steak and brought in guys that wanted to be there. And I think that it's having that sort of culture change and getting rid of so many guys and bringing in a new wave of talent that are very talented guys and also guys that want to be there. I think that is both Omar Khan being a really good general manager, Mike Tomlin recognizing that, something needed to change, and guys wanting to play for Mike Tomlin. So it's all just a nice little hodgepodge that's benefiting the Steelers right now.
And talking about Mike Tomlin on the hot seat, do you think that he's actually on the hot seat if he doesn't do anything this year?
I don't think they're going to fire him. After they lost to Arizona and New England last year, those are two-win teams. They lost both of them at home within the span of 5 days. They're the first team in NFL history to lose to two-win teams while being over 500 this late in the season in NFL history. That's a big stain. That was a very big stain. And I wrote a really long piece at the time. I was like, it's got to be time, because it's very clear that they're not changing who they are. It's very clear that he's not changing who he is. And it's okay to acknowledge that he was a great coach, but this thing's hit a wall and it's not going anywhere. And I think that he recognized that too. And I think the fact that we're seeing this adaptation and this evolution from the franchise, where this isn't your father's Pittsburgh Steelers, where they're going to remain stagnant in the offseason and not make a lot of moves. I think that recognition of okay, we've got to adapt to this modern NFL. We got to be in on these big moves. I think that says a lot about Tomlin as well as it does about Omar Khan. So even if they don't, let's say they go back to the playoffs and they lose again, I don't think that they're going to fire Mike Tomlin. I just don't see a world where that happens, because, like it or not, the Steelers are patient to a fault. We saw them. Bill Cowher had multiple losing seasons back to back, and they stuck it through with him. I don't think that Tomlin's going anywhere, especially because of the things we already talked about. Guys want to play for him. Guys come there a large part because of him. But I don't think his seat's hot. I will say, though, I think that he kind of realized over the past few months that while it's not hot, it's not 100% secure either, if that makes sense. So, but I do think with the moves that they've made, plus the draft still to come, can they, get into the playoffs again as maybe a 5 or 6 seed and win a playoff game? Yeah, I think that's a reasonable. What's the word I'm looking for? A reasonable thing to think that can happen.
Yeah, I like what you said about the whole culture thing. I know when everything was happening, my friends were blowing up the group chat, obviously, and saying the Steeler way, it just continues to fade away. And I was like, I don't know. I think I disagree. Seeing guys like Deshaun Elliott get up on the podium in the press conference and just point to the Steelers logo, right. I was like, dude, that is the Steeler way. People who want to be here, played that old school type of football. I love that. And I think we're getting back to that more than going away from it.
And I think with the addition to Arthur Smith as the offense coordinator, where he's a ground and pound type of offense coordinator. We saw it in Tennessee. So I think that it's getting back to the Steeler way a little bit more than people think, because we're not going to go air raid the whole time. And I think that was evident whenever we traded Deontay Johnson. But I also did want to ask you, the Deontay Johnson trade, people were saying that they think that the Steelers have some kind of insider knowledge whenever it comes to trading away these controversial wide receivers. And we saw it this season. People said that Mike Tomlin lost the locker room and everything, with people fighting in the locker room. There was a report that Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward had to break up a fight in the locker room. I mean, is it coming to a point now that they just have these controversial guys because of Mike Tomlin, the way he coaches, or is it just the personalities that they draft?
No, I think that especially in today's social media world, I mean, egos are certainly a thing, and they've always been a thing in professional sports, but especially in today's age. But no, I mean, there's reports that Minka Fitzpatrick and Deontay Johnson came to blows. So like, it was just time where, if Deontay Johnson was disruptive behind the scenes, they weren't going to extend him anyway. Trade him. Just get something for him. They got a 6th-round pick and a player. Fine, rinse your hands of it and move on. And in terms of, the Steeler way, in terms of, the on the field product, I think it'll be a healthy balance of, ground and pound, but also like they got 2 guys who can chuck it. So, the last time that Arthur Smith was an OC was in Tennessee, and they made it to the AFC Championship game by just feeding Derrick Henry and then using play action and yeeting it to AJ Brown. So I think we're going to see a lot of that this year where, it's going to be run heavy early on, get respectable yards on first down to set up those second and shorts. Play action. All right, Russ, George is down there somewhere. Just see if it gets to him. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that where that feeds into what Russ does well. And it feeds into what Justin Fields does well on top of that. So both guys can chuck it. Both guys could benefit from having a good run game. And I think it'll be a healthy balance of, utilizing the underneath game with guys like Freiermuth and Washington. Maybe Calvin Austin. Again, they still got to figure out their receiver room. But yeah, I would expect to see no less than like 3 go get it George balls a game where, it's like 2nd and 1 and they play action to like Jalen Warner and Najee Harris, and Russ is like, well, we'll see. It's 1-on-1, go get it. So I think there'll be a lot more explosive plays and more offensive, just more progressive offensive play styles and whatnot, which isn't saying much, going from Matt Canada, but Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, I think will be a big upgrade for the Steelers, especially just because they run a lot of different sets. Like on first down last year, the Falcons led the NFL in 2 tight end, 2 running back sets. The Steelers didn't do it once last year. So we're going to see a lot of Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Najee Harris, and Jalen Warren on the field at the same time on early downs. That's something that we didn't really see a whole lot last year. So it'll be a lot of different looks. It'll be very different schematically, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they cook up.
Jarrett, I'm very thankful for you bringing me back down to earth as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. All of these past weeks, I kind of was on a cloud 9 thinking we're going to go to the Super Bowl and whatnot, but I think you brought me back to life.
Like I said, man, I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation for them to be, because I think the Bengals are going to come back and win the division. As long as Joe Burrow's healthy, I'm not betting against them.
I agree.
Yeah. But it's definitely not out of the picture where they can be, so last year they played a 3rd place schedule. They won 10 games with the worst quarterback play overall in the NFL. They're playing a 3rd place schedule again this year. Common knowledge will tell you that if everybody plays to their potential, they should be able to at least win 10 games again, which would put them back in the playoffs. And if they faced, I don't know. Like if they faced the Texans, obviously I'd be a little bit nervous because CJ Stroud's a dog, and I love what D'Amico's building there. But do I think that they could build that? Do I think that they could beat them? Yeah. If the Jaguars win that division, do I think they could beat Jacksonville? Yes. Do I think that they could beat, I don't know, if the Dolphins win the AFC East? Yeah, I think they could beat Miami. There's multiple teams that I would like to see them face. Like if the Ravens won the division, that's fine. Play Baltimore. Lamar is 1-3 in his career against the Steelers. Not worried about the Ravens. But there's multiple teams that, like, if they were to face them in the wild card route, I would look at and be like, okay, I think that they can win. Would I be surprised if the Texans would beat them? No. Or Jacksonville? No. But I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation compared to last year. Going into the game against Buffalo, we're like, all right, this is just going to be a manslaughter for 3 hours where it's just ceremonial that they have to play the game. And that's what it's felt like for, the past while where, they got into the playoffs with Ben in his last year where his arm was, being taped on before every game. And they had no speed on defense, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce just ate them alive for 3 hours. So, I mean, I have more expectations now than I did in previous years. Do I think that they're a Super Bowl team? No. But do I think that they can be better than what they have been? Do I think that they can get to the divisional round? Yes.
Okay.
I completely agree. And I'm looking at our schedule, or not our schedule, but our opponent.
Yeah, the opponents. Yeah.
They
play Philadelphia this year and Philly, I believe.
And the Chiefs. I mean, there's a lot of really good teams, but there's also a lot of really bad teams that can play.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull this up real quick because I need this in front of me because I actually don't know off the top of my head what the divisions they play.
We play like a Denver, a Giants.
They play the NFC East.
Chargers. Like these are teams that, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do the rest of the offseason, but I haven't seen them make moves really at all. And the moves they have made to me have been they're going downhill.
Well, if it'll show me a picture here. Okay, here we go. All right. So at home, obviously Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland. They host Dallas. I think that's a winnable game. They host Kansas City. That's going to be just an onslaught. I'm not confident about that whatsoever. The last time that Mahomes played in that stadium, he threw 6 touchdowns. It was just, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Just brutal. The Chargers irritate me to an extent because I love Justin Herbert and they're just completely wasting him. He's throwing to us 3 this year at receiver, by the way, until they draft somebody. They play the Giants. They should massacre the Giants, and then they play the Jets. It depends on what their offense looks like, but defensively, we know they're good. And then away, the divisional opponents, they play Arthur Smith revenge game in Atlanta. All right, that'll be fun. I do think the Falcons are going to be very good this year, though. Big Kurt guy. So I think that
we are as well.
I think they'll be good. I hope to God that Russ is starting the game against Denver and just throws for like 350 and 4 tuds. That would just be great because I don't like Sean Payton, and that would just make my day. Where I'm just that'd be lovely. Then they play Washington. I think they should beat Washington. How funny would it be? Maybe not funny, but like if Jalen Hurts has to like miss a week, and it's the week that they play the Steelers at home. And Kenny Pickett starting and TJ Watt sacked 9 times. It would be tremendous.
Oh, man.
I think that they can beat Philly, though. The Eagles don't scare me. I know that they have weapons on offense, and they beat the living hell out of them a couple years ago. But that infrastructure from head coach on down is just weird to me right now. And I don't think I don't take Nick Sirianni seriously. They play the Raiders in Vegas. I know that they just beat them last year in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
But historically, they're not very good against the Raiders. That's a game that they should win, but I won't hold my breath because it's a team that's always given them fits. And then they play the Colts in Indy again. Obviously, they lost last year. Obviously, a different situation too. Where, I mean, it was Mitch Trubisky against. Was it Minshew that played last year?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Trubisky against Minshew. Now it's going to be either Russ or Justin Fields against Anthony Richardson. That would be a fun matchup. Justin Fields against Anthony Richardson.
But then they also do go to Russ's home too in Denver.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I hope he balls out because Denver's going to be terrible, man. Like,
oh yeah,
Jarrett Stidham's going to be playing against us. So
I mean, hey, great first name, but not great quarterback. I would love nothing more if Russ marches into Mile High, throws 350 and 4 touchdowns against the team that's paying him not to be there. That would be hilarious. Just be tremendous. Right. Give us
a why am I blanking on the word? A record prediction.
Oh Lord. I think they're probably I think the Bengals are going to sweep them just because Joe Burrow's just the man. I think they're going to sweep Cleveland though.
Mm-hmm. Really? With Jameis Winston there now.
I don't understand the infatuation for James Winston. Like that's one quirky thing that I just refuse to get on board with. I don't get it. Like he's a goof. That's fine. But I think they'll sweep the Browns. Quite frankly, I think they'll sweep Baltimore. So that's what 4-2 in the division. All right. I think they'll beat Dallas. That's 5-2. I think they'll lose to Kansas City. That's 5-3. I think they'll beat the Chargers. That's 6-3. I think they'll beat the Giants. That's 7-3. I don't like how optimistic I'm sounding right now, man. They're setting me up to fail.
Get to our level here, Jared.
I think you're right.
I'll say that they'll split with the New York teams. I'll say they'll lose to the Jets. So 7-4.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers will ball out that game.
Yeah, and the Jets historically are just good against the Steelers.
But then if Aaron Rodgers is running for president or vice president, that might affect stuff.
RFK picked a different vice presidential
Did
candidate.
he?
I think I think Aaron's officially off the ticket.
Okay.
So I'll say 7-4 through that. I think they'll beat Denver. That's 8-4. I think they'll lose to Atlanta. That's 8-5. Sorry, Artie. I think they'll beat Washington. That's 9-5. I think they'll lose to the Colts. 9-6.
Wow.
I think they'll beat the Raiders. That's 10-6. And then it's a toss-up between Philadelphia. So 11-6, 10-7. I don't think that's too crazy.
I think that's very realistic.
Very realistic.
Yeah. So that's.
But you got to throw in the yearly collapse against the worst in the NFL.
That's the thing.
The thing about that, man. Everybody around the NFL has at least one of them. A game that you go into like, oh, there's no way they're going to lose it. Like a couple years ago when the Chiefs won, not this past Super Bowl, but the year before, they lost to Matt Ryan and the Colts in like week 4. Like some things just happen, man. Any given Sunday. So anybody can beat anybody. Everybody loses a game, at least one game a year where you're like, oh, there's no way they're going to lose this. And somebody bet the mortgage on it and they're going to be angry about it. But it can happen to anybody, and it does happen to everybody every year. So I wouldn't. Yes, it's annoying when it does happen, but I wouldn't put. I hate when people put so much stock into it, especially like I already talked about it, but like the next morning on like all these talk shows and everything. Like if say the Steelers lose to I don't know Washington, everybody is like, oh my God, are the Steelers done? They're like, dude, it's week 6. Like let's calm down. There's still 3 months of the season left, and they're 4-2. What are we doing? So I've always hated that. Like I said, it's a very hot takey overreaction sports media world we live in. But every team around the league is going to have at least one of those stinkers where they lose or they just look really bad. Even if they win, don't worry about it.
Wouldn't be surprised if your boy runs for 400 on us that game. But
who's my boy?
Austin Eckler.
Oh yeah, Austin Eckler is my boy. Now I forgot about that. Yeah, that'll be fun.
I did want to talk about the combine. Just one couple.
Oh yeah, you're right.
If that couple questions, not even a couple questions, just one question.
Sure.
I know that the Steelers, we talked about it, that they need a wide receiver and they're kind of in the market for wide receiver. And this is coming from a Slippery Rock standpoint. There's a guy from Slippery Rock that is lit up the PSAC and D2 football. I'm pretty sure it was till the last week he led all NCAA wide receivers and touchdowns.
Realistically, could have been a wide receiver too on a D1 team, like a good D1 team,
like a very good D1 team. And
what's this cat's name?
Kyle Sheets.
How do you spell that last name?
It's
like bed sheets.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But he lit it up here and everything, and I think he's going. Which pro day is he going to?
I don't know. I've been trying to find that, and that's one of the things I don't like about the combine. It's so hard to find the D2 stuff. Because
I think that he's going. I want to say he's going to Penn State because that's where Roland Rivers went to for their pro day too. But Kyle Sheets, I mean, there's been really no Henry Litwin got picked up by the Chicago Bears last year after he lit it up here. But Kyle Sheets is just different. He's a 6'8".
Why he's not that big?
How tall is he?
I think he's 6'5".
6'5", 2. Yeah, and he's a deep ball threat and he's got speed. Is there any way? I mean, I know that the Steelers love to draft a hometown guy. I mean, look at Kuntz is our long snapper and he's from Pittsburgh. So, I mean, is there any way that you could see a D2 player getting in the mix of thrown in before another D1 player?
I mean, yeah, it happens sometimes. Quinn Miners was a D3 guy and he got picked up and he's starting for the Broncos right now. So
Tyson Bagent, right?
Yeah, Tyson Bagent. Yeah, the guy who lit up Slippery Rock a couple years ago. So, it definitely does happen. In terms of being drafted, that's where it becomes a little bit more complicated. I know Quinn Miners got drafted, and I'm trying to think of. Who's the last? Has there been a slip guy that's been drafted?
I think the
Wes Hills. Wasn't he drafted?
I don't think Wes Hills was drafted. I think he was a UBFA.
But the offensive lineman that plays for the Vikings.
Brandon Fusco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he was drafted.
He might have been drafted. I'll have to look into that. But regardless, well, I'm sure that he'll have. So Kyle Sheets. By the way, I'm looking at him right now. Just good Lord. Yeah, he's tall. He's got just a supermodel good looks. He's everything that everything you want.
Modeling career potentially if football doesn't work out.
I'm trying to think of who he looks like because he definitely looks like somebody like famous, and I cannot put my finger on who, and it's going to bother me for the rest of the day until I figure it out. But is he going to have, an OTA invite, a mini camp invite? More than likely, yes. And if he is to make a team going into the summer and training camp, and if he makes a big enough splash in preseason, then sure he can be on a roster. Let me pull up. Do you have his numbers in front of you? What are these numbers? Let me hear it.
Okay. Wow. Against Westchester this year, he had 4 receptions, 95 yards, a touchdown.
Okay.
Hold on. Actually, I'll just bring up his biggest games. Against Clarion, 9 receptions, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. Millersville, he had 12 receptions, 210 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Okay, so this is just routine.
Yeah.
Has he been here his entire career, or did he transfer?
No, he was here. He started here, and the reason I think that he came here was because of Henry Litwin, because him and Litwin went to the same high school.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then Litwin told him, you got to, apparently he got, I was talking to Coach Sean Lutz about it. Apparently he got D1 offers, and he took Slippery Rock over D1 offers.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is weird to me.
But I
don't get that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Slip, but like if, I'm getting D1 looks as a receiver.
Yeah. But like, are teams more hesitant to look at guys from D2 than D1?
No, if you're talented, the league will find you. So I don't think that there's any sort of hesitancy there. Like, I have a bunch of like media friends who used to be in the scouting world. Out in Mobile, I was talking to my friend Emery Hunt from CBS, and we were just talking about like college about night. He asked me where I went. I told him Slippery Rock. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been to Slippery Rock a few times to scout different guys." And so if you're talented, the league will find you. Again, he'll more than likely. I mean, from the numbers that I'm hearing, he'll get some sort of mini camp invite. If he impresses, then he'll stick around throughout the summer and be at training camp and play in the preseason. And if he makes a big enough splash, then he could be on a roster, or at the very least a practice squad guy.
Hey, we'd love him with the Steelers. He's a just throw it up and go get it guy. So yeah, he fits the scheme.
He's just
look, man. It would be great content for me considering I went there. So I welcome it. But again, if you're talented enough, the league will find you. And we've seen small school guys, even at the position, like Adam Thielen didn't go to a big school and he's had a great career. How Jerry Rice went to an HBCU school. Like, if you're talented enough, the league will find you. And as long as you showcase that talent, the league will keep you. So I'm excited. No, I wasn't even aware of this. I'm gonna keep up with this. I'm gonna like turn on Kyle Sheets Twitter notifications just to see what ends up happening. But I do remember when Hank got the Bears invite, seeing it on somewhere on Twitter. And there was a few other receivers who played in the XFL and USFL last year.
Yeah, there's one in the XFL right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name's escaping me, but I think he was there my senior year.
Is it Jermaine Wynn Jr.?
Might be Jermaine. Is he a receiver? Or is he
yeah, I thought he was a wide receiver.
I think he played for the Vipers.
Yeah,
the Tampa Bay Vipers. I think that was the team. Well,
Wes Hills he plays for the XFL this year. He was in the Canadian League for a while, and now
I remember when he came out, he was with Detroit and he was with Arizona for a minute. I didn't know he went to the Canadian League, so that's cool for him. But yeah, plenty of guys, and the fact that there is the UFL now, and that's just more opportunities for guys to showcase their talent. So
yeah. Exactly.
I'm excited. Wasn't aware of this. I'll keep an eye on it now.
Keeping you in the loop up here, what's happening up at Slippery Rock with
I gotta be. Like I said, the last time I was there was in September when I came to do the little guest lecture thing. So I mean, it's been a minute since I've been back. They do like a alumni thing every twice a year or something. So I mean, I'll have to find and a bunch of my friends went to homecoming, and I'm kind of pissed I didn't go to that. Had I known that so many of them were going. So maybe homecoming this fall, I'll make a trek.
Yeah, I don't recall the last time. I mean, I've only been here 4 years, but the last time we had this many guys declare for the draft.
Yeah, there's a bunch
By
of
the way, who else is declared?
the linebacker, right?
Khalid Dorsey, one of our running backs, Kyle Sheets, the receiver, 2 linemen, and another receiver. I'm pretty sure Cohen Russell.
And there's a defensive lineman too. I thought.
Is there?
I thought so. I thought that they posted them, and I thought it was a defensive lineman. Maybe it's the offensive lineman, but
I just know it was 5 or 6 guys, and I was like, wow, like that is a lot from a D2 school.
Look, there's a fine chance that all of them end up on camp rosters and everything. Pretty minuscule that they all make final 53 man rosters, but the fact that there's that opportunity and whatnot, and again, having a spring league now where if it doesn't work out for them this fall, okay, you go to the UFL, see what you can make of yourself. The Arena League apparently is coming back. You can go to the Arena League. You've got so many options. You've got the Canadian League. So you can go even if it doesn't end up being the NFL right away, there's plenty of other options now, which is good for football.
Yeah.
You can go play for Antonio Brown in the Arena League. I heard he's a good owner.
Goodness.
No, that was the indoor football league. Different thing. Different thing. Yeah.
Different. Yeah.
I think that went under, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. It definitely did.
Not
definitely did.
Not good.
Move on to. I know Alex doesn't really like to talk Pirates, but we can move on to the Penguins.
Oh, I'll talk Pirates. Again, I'm very casual when it comes to baseball and hockey, but O'Neal Cruz is. There's my analysis on O'Neal Cruz. He's quite tall and hits the ball far. So,
what about Paul Skeens? I mean, Alex is a big fan of Paul Skeens, so that's
I'm a big fan of his girlfriend.
Yep, this guy exactly knows. This guy knows.
Big Wendy Dunn guy. Paul Skeens is the luckiest man walking planet Earth right now. So, cheers to him for that. He was a few days ago. He came out and threw 3 straight hundos and struck a guy out. So.
Yeah, he threw 3 batters, and that was it.
If he's not on the opening day roster, I'm gonna drive down to PNC and I'm gonna do unspeakable things.
He's not. Yeah, they already.
Oh my! Because where are they putting him? They're putting him in Altoona or Indy.
They're putting him at AAA. Yeah, and they said, well, the reason is because if they bring him up too soon, then he loses a year of arbitration. So
I don't know what that means.
So basically, like if they bring him up too soon, then they can't pay him the league minimum of his contract.
Oh, so it's about them being cheap. Figures as much. The Pirates being cheap. Who would have thought?
So that's why they do. Like they did this with Garrett Cole too. They did it. They did it with Francisco Liriano Liriano. They did it with a bunch of. They did it with Jeff Locke whenever he was here. They did it with Charlie Morton. They do it with all of the pitchers that they think are going to be studs. And
on the bright side, like he's gonna every 5th day in Indy, he's gonna be like, oh, all right. Paul Skeens goes 7 1/3 with 19 strikeouts. It's like, oh, all right, neat, good for him.
But so they are going to wait. The cutoff date is May 17th.
Oh yeah, he'll be up May 18th.
Yeah, right, so that's the plan, is that he's coming up May 18th, and I feel like me and Alex have talked about this before on here. It's going to be a Garrett Cole effect. I don't know if you remember whenever Garrett Cole pitched.
Oh, yeah, it was instantaneous. He was just a baller.
That, and then every single game was sold out. Like every single Garrett Cole game was sold out. And I think that's what's going to happen whenever he comes up.
And that's fine. Opening day is what? How far away is opening day?
We got less than a month. It's April.
It's like April 1st or something.
Right? Yeah. It's a week.
So, okay, you wait a month and a half for Paul Skeens. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, I guess. That's fine. I can wait a month and a half. But yeah, I'm excited for the Pirates. Even as just like a casual fan, like. How many wins did they have last year? Like 72?
Yeah, they were in the hunt there towards the end of the back half of the season.
Yeah, they started off like 20-7, and everybody's like, "Holy hell, look at the Pirates!" And then they crapped the bed for the next 2.5 months.
It was because your guy got injured. O'Neal Cruz got injured.
I was watching the game when O'Neal Cruz got injured. It was like, what is he slid weird or he came down weird on his leg? Against the Reds. I think it was against the Cardinals or the Reds.
I think it was the Reds, and he doesn't know how to slide into home base. So.
Yeah. So that definitely hurt him. Hopefully, they've given him a sliding instructor between that then and now. But yeah, I think that with O'Neal Cruz, and if they have competent pitching, Brian Hayes, I like the fact that Kutch is back there. More so, Kutch at this point in his career, like he's fine. He's obviously not the star he used to be, but it's just cool seeing 22 back there again. It's great.
Yeah.
I think that at the very least, they'll be like a 75 win team that goes yard a ton and is fun to watch. That's all I can ask for. And as long as that gets me to July where I'm at training camp, mission accomplished, Pirates. Good job.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I think
Penguins
that
are more depressing.
Yeah, Penguins are very depressing recently.
We can be very brief about the Penguins today.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Sidney Crosby's putting them on their back, and we're hurting them. And it's just, I think it's next. Like the Bunting trade did work out though for us.
Yeah, here's my grand conspiracy theory. By the way, I think that there was like a handshake agreement between Kyle Dubas and Jake Gensler. Be like, look, man, we're gonna trade you, but in the offseason, I'm giving you a bag. But we need some help. So I'm going to trade you for Michael Bunting. But I promise you, 8 years, $60 million is on the table as soon as free agency opens. And we'll put you back on the first line with Sid. We're going to get Michael Bunting and some draft picks, and I'm going to fleece the Hurricanes. You're like, all right, I'll go do that, I guess.
I would love that if that actually happens, but I don't know if we're going to be able to pay him.
No, I think you're right in the aspect that everyone on Twitter is just like, don't worry, he'll be back. He'll be back in the offseason. He'll be back in the offseason.
Why not? He clearly loves it there.
Yeah. But the thing is that like everyone says that, and I say it too, I'm an advocate for this too, is that Crosby made Getzel who he is. Sure.
And there's definitely something to that where playing on the same line with Sidney Crosby, obviously your numbers are inflated.
Yeah.
But, he's a 40-goal scorer, right? I think he scored 40 goals in a season, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I mean, having that, if he goes somewhere else and, puts up, 29 goals, then okay, that's still a productive first line winger, second line winger. Yeah, that's still, a productive guy who is going to get paid somewhere. I don't know. I'm still sticking with the weird conspiracy. Maybe it's just copium at this point. Or like, oh, he'll be back. But I would sincerely like to have him back because obviously, like Sid was pretty upset about him being traded because that's like his son. But also, just you don't want these final years of Sid to be wasted where it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs for the second straight year.
Yeah.
He's still playing near the top of his game, which is incredible considering, he's going to be 37. And it's crazy. I think that when Dubas got in, I think they got a little bit overzealous in trading for a defenseman that doesn't play defense. And while also pairing him with a defenseman that doesn't play defense. So that was a problem. Like everybody at the time was like, oh, they did the Erik Karlsson trade. Holy heck. And it's like, okay, yeah, that it could be fun. But at the same time, like he needs to play defense. And he didn't do that in San Jose just because like the Sharks recognized that, okay, we stink. Erik, just kind of freelance and see what you can create.
True.
And they didn't ask him to play defense. So I don't know. There was a lot of moves that were ballsy, and I appreciated the aggressiveness, but it bit him in the butt, and that's fine. I'd rather you learn from your mistakes and be aggressive than sit on your hands and learn nothing. But Kyle Dubas has shown that he's an aggressive GM, and I hope that some moves are made where hockey can be fun in Pittsburgh again. Starting with, by the way, their uniforms suck. I hate their uniforms.
They're due for a change again.
They're not good. I would like to see them go back to like early years Sid, not like the cup winning years, but like right before they got good, where they had like the triangle on the side.
Yeah.
I liked that jersey design. The one after that was a little bit weird with like a random yellow patch here and a random white patch here. I didn't necessarily understand that. Some hockey uniforms confuse me. But yeah, change the uniforms, change that really bright yellow back to like a dim yellow, and I think you're cooking with gas. We'll see what happens. They're still a very old team that probably hung on to Malkin and Letang for 2 years too long.
Yep.
And even if like Malkin's infuriating because he'll have like a 2-week stretch where he averages a point a game and then he'll disappear. So it's frustrating as a Penguin fan. And I understand not wanting to get rid of Malkin, but getting rid of Letang would have made sense.
Yeah.
But here we are. It's we'll see what happens in the offseason. I'm ready for the Pirates. I'm ready for I'm checking my notifications right now. Did Omar Khan do something? I would love for, a notification saying that, the Steelers traded for, I don't know, Terry McLaurin. That'd be neat. I'd enjoy that.
There's a lot of rumors about Justin Jefferson.
Guys, Justin Jefferson's not going anywhere.
We'd have to give up our whole franchise.
I think it's just weird, and like it's March, so people are like, all right, free agency is pretty much over. What can we talk about? You think the Vikings would trade Justin Jefferson? Well, let's run with that for the next 3 days to lead off every show. He's not going anywhere. It wouldn't make sense either way because they're going to draft a quarterback. Why would you handicap your new draft pick quarterback by trading away the best receiver in football? Yeah. It doesn't make sense. So I think they're going to probably trade up and take J.J. McCarthy. They're going to give Justin Jefferson a ton of money. And if McCarthy's good, then they have a quarterback on a rookie contract that they can try to build around and make a run at it. But no, Justin Jefferson's not going anywhere. I hope that nobody's holding their breath on that.
Yeah, I lost hope on that one a little bit. Yeah, would be cool. But
yeah. It would be cool. It would be cool. It would be.
Too much.
But it's not happening. So there's a lot of things that would be cool, but it'd be cool if I grew wings. But that won't be happening anytime soon.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, let's fill you in on some Slippery Rock sports then, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. What's even in right now?
Not much.
Yeah, we are at the point of baseball and softball right now.
Okay, baseball was always fun to go to. I enjoyed going to baseball games. They like redid that entire field like my junior year, I think. So it was nice to see that getting right. I lived on Keister right before the Ivy. So like I'm watching them do that for like a year and it finally gets done. So that was cool to. Yeah, no, it was a very nice field.
Before we get into any of the bigger sports like baseball, and we can talk about basketball and how their season ended, I want to touch on track and field. I know we don't talk about it a lot, but Anna Eggums might be the most dominant athlete in Slippery Rock right now, maybe even the PSAC. I'm trying to find her stats. I hate that track and field doesn't have like just a list of,
Right.
Are we still in indoor?
Yes, it just finished.
Yeah, she won she came in first in a bunch of times, didn't she?
Yeah, she is just on a tear. She's gotten first. Again, I'm trying to count.
What is she a runner?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, she is dominating. And going into outdoors, she will be somebody to watch for sure.
Oh, right there?
Yeah, Anna Eggums.
Okay.
Athlete of the year too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trio. They won a trio in the Atlantic Major Honors.
Okay, so she's pretty all right then,
Yeah, she's been really impressive. Track and field, this indoor season has been very impressive as well. Basketball had a great year as well.
I had a ton of friends who were track athletes when I was in school. It's just I can never just be somebody who runs for the hell of it. So good for her, man. That's crazy. No, go Slip. What did basketball do? Was it men's or women's that had the better year?
Men's. Women had 2 wins on the year.
Oh man. So this might have been before your guys' time, but when Brooke Hinderleiter was there, so her and I went to the same high school. I've known Brooke forever. They had Brooke. They had was it Morgan Johnson? She was pretty good. And a select handful of other girls. They were really good when I was there. But yeah, 2 wins. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they I think it was last year. I really hope I'm not wrong in saying this. Their coach passed away.
Yes, yeah. McGraw passed away either a year or a year and a half ago, somewhere.
Right.
Something like that. So yeah.
So obviously, like people on the team are still probably going through that. And,
sure.
They got a new coach. Yeah. Maybe things were we said it was a rebuilding year. Probably, things just didn't work out the way they wanted it to. But
sure. Yeah. That's a lot to go through in a calendar year and have to deal with that. So understandable.
Yeah. She's still trying to establish like her, I guess, mentality of the team, like she wants in her culture that she wants to build here. But she's on the right path to doing it. She's brought in a lot of people that she thinks that we think that have a lot of potential and everything like that.
I'm sure they'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the men, they won the first playoff game for a couple of years. It's been, I think, since we did that.
I think it's honestly since I've been here, they haven't won a game.
We beat IUP this season too. That was the first time since 2018 that we've done that, which is insane.
Oh, wow.
IUP's coach also left and took a bunch of their good players this year.
True.
Where did he go?
I think he went to a D1 school. Did he go D1 or D2?
Oh, I don't know.
But California and Gagnon were the big ones that were.
Gannon, we were just talking to Dr. Dartman about this the other day.
Mhm.
They popped up on my TikTok. They went 3-30 something last year, and now they're 33-3 and in the Elite Eight.
I was going to say, what are they, the 8th best D2 team in the country right now? That's crazy.
Yeah, they were 7th.
It's they got a new head coach, and he has just completely flipped the culture there. I don't know how he did it so quickly. It's wild, but
I was alarmed to learn how much D2 like coaches make. I didn't think it was as much as it is, and it blew me away. That's just a side note. It had nothing to do with what you're talking about. Sorry, but
no, you're good. I don't
it came out of my head.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know how much. I don't know if we can even talk.
Look it up after the show. You'll be surprised.
All right.
But yeah, they lost in the first round and
second
round, and yeah, I mean it was a pretty good season for them all around. They finally got their culture back. They had some players that really popped off this year, and they seemed pretty good. They seemed like they enjoyed this year like a lot. Like the players through it all enjoyed it this year.
So how do playoffs work for? Is it similar to how football works, where it's not just PSAC playoffs, or is it?
Yeah, and it's the most annoying format ever as a writer.
Oh, really?
Because it's like the first and second seed in both the East and the West of the PSAC get buys, but then they like mix the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6, and it doesn't even make sense how they mix it, like with the East and West. And so when I'm writing about it, I'm like, this team's here in the East, and then like, oh, we're gonna play this team, and then we'll maybe play the East or we'll maybe play the West. It's so confusing. But basically, 6 teams from the West make it, and 6 teams from the East make it.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait, they didn't play in like the national D2 playoffs, or they did?
They did not.
They didn't.
I think you have to. It's like basically like the ACC, Big Ten, like all these tournaments. You have to qualify.
Like you have to get out of your. You have to get out of your.
Oh, so like the winner of like the PSAC would then go on to play. Yeah. Okay, I got you. I got you.
Right. And I don't know why it's only, or how many teams are in the D2.
How many teams are in the PSAC?
They got the West and the East.
Yeah,
because if it's 6 on each side, that's 12 teams. I thought that there was only 12 teams in the PSAC. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't know it was that big.
I think it's what
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
9 on each side, so that'd be 18 in total.
Yeah, 18.
Okay.
So
I feel like the playoffs should be smaller then.
Yeah, because they only take the top 4 of each.
I think that's how it should be. It would be 4 from each side. That would make sense rather than be.
So it was
of the teams.
Yeah, so it was Mercyhurst, Gannon, IUP, and Slippery Rock.
Well, that's the thing. Like the gap. It was like us and IUP were in the same playing field all year. Gannon and Cal were up there, and then after us and IUP, it was just like a complete fall off. So the 5 and the 6 that made it, it was like, why are they even here?
That's what I'm saying, man. You gotta make it. That's why I hate like bowl season in college football, because you got like, oh, here's 5 and 7 Idaho A&M playing the 6 and 6 Montana State A&M Tech. Like, oh my, and the Scott's toilet paper bowl. Like, who cares about this? Like, oh my goodness, the 7 people in the stands. Like, why is this a thing? So I've always hated the. I don't know. Just feels like it's rewarding mediocrity.
Yeah. But no, they had a great year. They had a guy.
Good.
Our best player was a transfer from Duquesne, and I interviewed him the other day, and we were talking about how the Dukes got the win.
I bet you he's kicking himself right now.
No, he's excited for them. I mean, it's really cool too. He talked about Dan Brought and how he coached LeBron, and a really cool story for the Dukes. But he was our best.
Somebody tweet yesterday is like, how many people outside of Pittsburgh know either how to say Duquesne or know where it's at? And I was like, precisely 0.
Yeah, literally.
I saw a guy that was freaking out that Duquesne won, and he's like, Duquesne.
Yeah.
Just say the Dukes, man. Roll Dukes.
But the baseball team is underway, and they are kind of off to a solid start. 8-4.
Yeah, that's pretty.
0-1 in conference. They had their first conference game today. Yeah, they have their first conference game today against Pitt Johnstown. It
literally just ended.
Literally just ended. But they did get back from where they go. They go to North Carolina.
Oh wait, they play again in a half hour.
Yeah.
Oh.
They got back from North Carolina and took every game.
Doubleheader?
Yeah, they got doubleheader. Then they play them at Pitt Johnstown next week, or next on Saturday, actually.
Yeah, we were talking the other day, Jarrett. We don't understand. We've never seen a team, college, pro, with so many doubleheaders. It is insane.
Yeah, like they just do
much more frequent in college baseball than it would be at any other level.
That makes sense.
Yeah, especially just because, like, how many games do they play a year?
Jared, you're setting us up here.
It's
the point is that they play a lot of games,
yeah,
and they have a condensed amount of time to do it. So the easiest way to do it is like, all right, we'll do 2 in 1 day and have a 4-game series over 2 days rather than a 4-game series over 4 days and save some time. So it makes sense in that regard. So I can kind of get it, but I agree with the sentiment there.
The season does start late too.
Yeah.
So it's got to be condensed.
So like they end May 3rd, and that's the
day before graduation.
Day before graduation. Then they go to PSAC tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and if they make it to the playoffs and everything, it goes past that and everything.
Yeah.
So even then, I think that the solution here would just be starting baseball season sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you also have the whole thing about, what if it snows and everything like that.
Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, in Slippery Rock, you get snow on a day in May, and it just kind of happens, man.
Yeah. But the softball girls are off to a rocky start, going 7-12. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and they recently lost to Hillsdale College whenever they went to Florida. But
the Florida school.
Yeah.
That's cool that they have like stuff like that. I wish that we'd get more of that in D2. I feel like it's more baseball and softball that do that.
Yeah, they go during spring break. So they go down during spring break, and then they
like a tournament.
Yeah, I guess it's like a tournament. But I think it's just like they all play at this big complex. And
well, that's like basketball went to Hawaii this year.
Yeah, basketball went to Hawaii for a tournament. I think they did really well out there. And then, but the problem was that they went out for a tournament in Hawaii, and then the day after they got back, they had to go to the other side of the state and play Millersville, Shippensburg, Westchester.
Yeah.
Like they had to play all those teams.
Yeah, they lost all those games.
All in the span of like what?
Oh, I mean, yeah, you have that jet lag from coming back from Hawaii, and then you have to go play in a tournament again the day after. Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to blow them all away.
Yeah, in 6 days they played 2 games in Hawaii and then came back here and played 2 across the state. So yeah, I would be exhausted too.
That'll do it. I've never flown to Hawaii, but 2 of like my best friends have, and that sounds like hell. So I'm good on that. Eventually I'm gonna get married, and she's gonna want to go to Hawaii, and I'm gonna have to tell her no. And it's
a long flight.
It's just too much, man. Like, we're gonna do that. Let's go. So I'm not a big like hot weather guy either. So I'm not a big beach guy.
Wow.
If we're gonna have a long trip like that. Let's go to like London. Let's go to Ireland. Let's do something really, something extravagant. Not just go to a beach that happens to be surrounded by volcanoes.
I'm with you.
Right,
not a big beach guy. Yeah, I'm not trying to crap on Hawaii. It does sound like I am. I'm sure it's a lovely place, but I'm not a beach guy. I don't like hot weather. Like during camp, like there'll be multiple times where I'll be talking to somebody and be like, why are we out here? It's 90 degrees. I'm hot. Why are we doing this outside?
Right.
But I'm just not a hot weather guy. Would very much I would take 10 degrees over 90 degrees 10 out of 10 times.
You might be the only person I've ever heard say that.
That's okay.
Wow.
It's okay.
But all right, I think that's pretty much all we got.
Anything you want to say, Jarrett? Like your
plug yourself.
Yeah.
Plug myself. At J Bailey NFL on the app formerly known as Twitter. Follow me there. Nothing. Yeah. Outside of that, nothing great. Everything I do in terms of writing USA Today, Behind the Steel Curtain, post everything on the Twitter. So if you need anything else, just Google me. I'm sure you'll be able to find the stuff I do. Outside of that, no. Glad to do this. Love Slip. I need to make it up there more than I do. But yeah, anytime I can do stuff like this, it's always fun to do, just because I'll always love that place very much. And yeah, anytime I can do something like this, it's always fun to do.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. We really appreciate you taking the time. I had a lot of fun. I think this is one of the better ones we've done and got a lot of good stuff. So
Oh yeah.
Seriously, thank you for coming on. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Sounds good, gents. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right, man. Take care.